Welcome to the audio book. 5 Huge Truths in a Relationship. This book is a classic on relationships by Arnold Kanyangu. Five Huge Truths in a Relationship. Understanding the purpose of marriage. Don't beat up on yourself, fulfill your purpose. Do something that gives you revenue income as your short-term goal. When it gets hard, keep calm because you know you are planning your life. The time where impossibilities are possible. Start measuring your success differently, with your success on each step or milestone being what you celebrate. With this information in this book, I could as well guarantee your success. Overcome evil with good. Plan to outdo the norm. Stand up. Be the lion of your life. 3 things that you will always need. Peak state of mind. Number think your best. Number learn your best. Number do your best. To make history. Repetition. To keep in first place and ahead. Accountability. To not fall off and lose focus. You have a mandate, right? You want to increase each person's gains. You want to lessen tension. You want to increase economic growth. You want to restore hope. You want to help. Let us increase knowledge or investment-centered growth. Investment in goods. Back to butter trade. Back to ingenuity. ASAP. Target. Plan for your industry. Meditate every evening. Gather your emotions. Let's prove that humans can develop faster than robots. And all this let us ensure that our relationships are good. Testimonial. The 5 huge truths in a relationship are personal pleasing, maintaining your lane, extra effort, competence, and shrewdness. It takes an understanding to grasp all these to improve your life. All 5 are equally important and will show you what part relationships have to play and how to make them the best. Forward. What you will learn in this book. Success is largely based on experiences, not rewards. Take at heart what your relationship entails. From affectionate, intimate spousal relationship to your relationship with your cedar child, there is much to live up to. Today I will go through concepts of healthy partner relationships. Husband and wife relationships, to be precise. 5 principles which, if honored, will make your relationship amazing for you to enjoy a long while with your partner. Why is emotional intelligence important? Emotional intelligence covers several critical skills that businesses and teams need to function, such as communication, conflict resolution, pursuing excellence, and more. It can be improved, and in improving it gets one to be a better leader. Chapter outline: Personal development. Introduction. Chapter 1. Personal pleasing. Chapter 2. Maintaining your lane. Chapter 3. Extra effort. Chapter 4. Competence. Chapter 5. Shrewdness. Excerpt in detail from Chapter 4. How to mend a broken relationship. Chapter 6. Personal development. Poem. Chapter 1. Personal pleasing. People were always meant to live individual lives. A life of adventure. You were only created to enjoy your life. But your individual life has to merge with another at another point in time, if you agree. Critics to the above will not take it well, but for those who are single, the information in this book is enough to get your senses working. Stay glued therefore, even if you are still single. Even if you decide to be single, understand that you get to understand couples by looking at this. Why personal pleasing? It is in personal pleasing that you get to be truly independent for your whole life. It is in personal pleasing that you get to not think that you have to suck the life out of someone else to have a happy life. Relationships are not easy. They were never meant to be. This is why you must work on yourself with the intention to function at your best as an individual. The more each is efficient as an individual, the more they help their partner. In the Motivate, we talk of discovering what you are and what you want as an entity. You have to reflect on yourself and correct ills that you have in your past, or at least in the memory of such. You get to change your attitude and become truly fresh. This way you can build on a greater future, adding skills to yourself so that you get to engage in activity with a sense of being pleased. Personal pleasing is the way to personally be at a point where you can pick your partner up and be of help. Hyper-performance and result-producing performance is at a peak state of one's performance, and a person who is functioning at their minimum will not be a great contributor to a relationship. Be at your best by doing your best and learning the best about yourself and about being at your best. Why personal? Pleasing yourself means you don't get to be pretentious, which is good. Oftentimes trying to be someone you are not is what leads to frustration and losing touch with the beauty that comes with yourself being on the limelight. If you get to be happy truly, you do not get to hide the truth, so you get to deal with the facts. Never ignore issues. Face them to overcome always. So looking at yourself helps you to look at being the best of you. Pleasing yourself also means that you get to be at your personal best. So you can therefore not mind what the people next to you put as yardsticks, but you get to look at being your personal best. In setting targets, we often look at whether your targets are your own or not. It is simple to get carried away by things that don't match up as your own desires. At times it is good therefore, but simply not for you. When you do things that are for you, you stay motivated. Why pleasing? First is worrying. Worrying does not solve issues. Unfortunately, worrying just distracts and stands as an impediment to progress. Being weak emotionally can be fixed by you focusing on strength, e.g. who are you in the positive note. Get to fix your life. And you will need 3 things to fix your life from the My Golden Rule. Activity done again and again. Add yourself to solve issues. Be happy. Pleasure and value. What is your purpose? Pleasing yourself of course is presented as a controversy on its own, as what pleases us is different. But value can please you and try to get joy from value. Spouses who distinguish themselves are individually achieving their short-term goals and long-term goals. Happiness comes from achieving a state of understanding and from achieving something physically or attaining a physical object which we may greatly desire. Through joy, a greater level would come from understanding who you are, realizing a greater truth and living the high level you from your heart, and that is greatly discussed in some of our talks in society. What we can discuss at this point is attaining happiness, i.e. through the first way of understanding, because that way you can keep it longer. This can only be out of information. Immediate gratification calls for more and more attention, but cultivating a state of mind will get you keeping a course and achieving in that course. You become happy because you are a happy person in your mind, and it is a state as a result of decision. When you get the objects now, they just rekindle your joy, i.e. the first level happiness. You stay physically happy because you did not just get the money, but you got it well. Start achieving with a good conscience and an understanding of you were born to win, and you understand that you are in the winning team. Finding happiness in the money but not in the process of getting the money lacks the ability to give you a state of fulfillment, which gets you to think, what have I been doing? Am I doing enough? Let's start taking pleasure in the process with an understanding, not just looking at immediate short-lived happiness from paper. Through value, you will realize, as in experiences, not achievements. Once your experience gets to have impact on people, you get to have happy money. Note from editor. How to. In history, people have turned to sport, arts and travel for leisure. It gets a lot to work if you resort to leisure recreational activities. The no-nos. The no-nos here are activities that do not refresh you but only waste your time. At times, spending too much time on your phone does not refresh you. Using electronic gadgets to entertain you such as TV also will not go a long way to refresh your mind. Spending late nights out also will certainly not do it for your fresh start. Start discovering yourself rather and pretend as though you are in the Iron Age for your fundamental switches to off your body for a while. Conclusion. Pleasing yourself in this way gets to transform your life. For those who are not yet married, of course this applies to you and would be a blessing to you if you start doing it before you get married. By pleasing yourself you get to be the best partner the other person would wish to have as a partner because you get to put a smile on their face. They get to always be caught up in this understanding of we are always happy. It counts a great deal. Admonition. Take your life as something important always. Take a stand and make things happen. What you need is a triumph in every important field. Every energy you get from each small triumph builds up to impact your work and life. Gather energy always and please yourself. Take time to challenge yourself, and this is how you get to start leading and therefore being more confident to tackle affairs at your highest understanding. Chapter 2. Maintaining your lane. At times it is important to do only what you must do, and we discuss it here. In a relationship one should only do what they must. It is never wise to do too much, as that only leads to havoc in the relationship. Maintaining. The word maintaining symbolizes discipline. It means there is a purpose that you are looking forward to. Maintaining will tell you that every person ought to look at what their individual purpose is before they look at a spousal collective purpose. This is why the old saying refers to why it is important to first look at a career that is stages of growth and you have career before giving 100% into a relationship. This is because one would have achieved a personal purpose first. Discipline refers to keeping to a certain course. This is regardless of feelings, and it is regardless of what you think you'll fail, you just keep at a course that is discipline. The word therefore represents an understanding that each person has to keep a discipline in a lane. If you are not a person who is true to something, you are failing, and a partner cannot come and solve that for you. If you have no discipline of a course that you're personally running, in other words you don't have a set of values, you don't have dos and don'ts. You cannot therefore maintain a lane. You have to be a person who can stand on their own. It is imperative. Let us think firstly of an illustration where we have two pillars that are supposed to support a building for it to stand for long. One pillar, its wall is faulty, we have poor quality cement and reinforcement used to structure that pillar, and that pillar is aslant and looks weak. Let's say to your right side. The other pillar on the other side is very strong, very steady, upright and ready for years to come. The faulty pillar will compromise the structure, and eventually, regardless of the great strength of the upright pillar, the faulty pillar will compromise the building, and the building will probably come crushing down from the side of the faulty pillar or on any other side due to that fault. When a party is a strong party, they've done their part. In other words, this shows a partner who knows very well, I am a musician, and there's no other way, this is the way, that I'm going to take this life and I will stay true to what I'm all about, I will research, I will get better, but I will stay in this lane. Even though some things change, but they've now come to more or less understand who they are, and they stay true to that. They get to see, this is what I do, and importantly they now definitely know how to contribute to their partnership or marriage. This partner also will know that they have to buy their partner some chocolates during the day, they have to compliment their partner, and they have to consistently see where their partner needs help, and they can assist. They have to consistently look into ways of improving their interaction with their partner. They maintain their lane and they don't do beyond what is necessary. It is important that a structured partner keeps their lane, they know that I have to be on this part of the building, and so I will be there, when my partner needs me, I will ensure that I provide that. They don't go the extra mile, for instance of now leaving their lane to assist their partner, for example. Trying to define too much of what the other partner must not do, etc. It is always important to say, if you've not understood the lane of which your partner is going, then don't be a partner to them in the first place. Because you are not getting into a relationship with a person so that you start controlling their lives, and it never works. As in, you get into a relationship with a person and then you put too much standards of what you want them to be, give it time, they'll go back to their default setting. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old they will not depart from it. This should tell you that your culture when you are young simply translates to a graduated culture when you are much older. It is of no use to compromise things too much and try and pretend that certain things are not there or are not interests of your partner then, after concluding a partnership relationship or marriage relationship. You then immediately try to change your partner's interests, your partner's goals, etc. That is a cause for call-ups in relationships, and that should never be an option. You ought to maintain your course. If you don't like the course of your partner before getting married, then don't get married. Because trying to change your partner after you've concluded a relationship will not work. Imagine someone trying to change you, imagine someone saying you valuing certain standards is not okay, change it. You being a good-mannered person, you valuing the people around you is not a good thing, just focus on yourself, change it, etc. It only leads to frustration, and so it is important as an individual probably before you commit to maintain your course, and once you're in a relationship try and compromise, because it's never an option for you to dedicate yourself to changing another person. Imperative contribution. You have to maintain your lane in contribution particularly. Contribute as far as it is contribution. Don't get too much into the other party's business to either try to change them or to overdo things, as overdoing things gets to be more harmful than helping. It is never an important thing to simply overdo things and try and compromise all your life just to be a good person. Don't try out too much to be in the other party's face, it will not work. It will just make them think that now you are overdoing. Don't now think you have the best buddy in the world and you just try and overdo things. You appearing everywhere, just looking desperate, it becomes too much. Never look desperate. The chase always has to remain alive. It is important to keep your lane. Lane. The lane refers to individual story. You have to know your lane for you to maintain it. It comes to study, it's a lane particularly for your relationship. A lane in the relationship would refer to things you have to deliver. There are certain things that you have to provide to your partner when they need help, you have to be there to assist them. Know your lane and be there for it. You actually have to understand what would be expected from you, considering even your partner. To some extent you may have to perhaps participate in assisting them achieve their dreams, certain points in time you just have to be there. Depending on the partnership it is important. An individual story always now relates to the peculiar setting of situation in your relationship. Never take it for granted that your relationship is peculiar. Oftentimes you might get situations similar to yours in other relationships, but yours is somewhat peculiar always. In your peculiar situation you ought to understand what is not now being a nuisance to the other party. Understand what is not going beyond the necessary in your particular case. For instance, there could be an issue of taking the kids, there could be an issue of taking the car for service, issue of adding fuel in the car, washing the car, doing certain chores in the house and so on. Once for instance you are just everywhere, you're just that person that says I'll do it myself. It is fake, and oftentimes, before concluding a marriage many get caught up in this, just trying to do too much, which later on when they want to go back to their default setting it just trickles down and doesn't last. It is never a good thing to do. Why fake it? Everyone knows they would probably get help, but it is never a good picture to paint to say I'm just not having anything to do at all, I'll help you. It is not necessary, and it only further paints a fake picture. Get to know your lane and maintain it. It is good to have a healthy relationship where each party stays forever aglow, maintaining their own path and being of help to the other. It is never about forgetting your own path to be 100% help, rather it is about maintaining your path probably as about 60% or 50% of a vibrant path, and 50% of the time you get to assist also vibrantly. And once you have a 50% vibrant path of your own, then definitely you won't get to somewhat overgive and just be at zero personally and just be living to please. It is never meant to be that way. Living your partner can come from the place of, you are personally working on yourself, and you will not get frustrated by feeling like you're overgiving. This way you keep a fire burning in your relationship. Because you are only maintaining your lane, you only do what you must and never think that your partner will leave you because you're only contributing what you must. They'll actually appreciate it. Try it, be the best that you see for yourself, and you will win at the end. Admonition. Knowing that you cannot please everyone, you have to maintain your course. Have a solid reason and stick only to it. Be wise. Chapter 3. Extra effort. There is always room to give in a relationship. Effort. An effort refers to a giving or action that is intended at achieving result. Usually we always have an opportunity to give in a relationship. Something that one would have to realize is that effort is always necessary. It is never in a comfort zone that one can contribute to any kind of relationship, whether it is a friendship, a partnership, or be it a collegial relationship between a superior and a subordinate or employee in a workplace, or it is a husband and a wife. In a marriage relationship, effort is always required. Now what is the effort? Effort is to learn response. How to respond to a need in a relationship. Effort always refers to going an extra mile to ensure that things work out. So as much as there is effort for everything else, it can never be overemphasized that you have to work on your relationship and not just think that it will glide through. The word extra is particularly because the effort that one has to put has to be given a certain measure. In a marriage relationship, it is always important to look beyond yourself and try the best you can to be a better partner. After you understanding the value of personal pleasing, and after you understanding the other topics, you have to understand that the more you give to your partner, the actual better your partner will also give to you. It is important to ensure that every effort is exerted to your best. Always have best intentions and always follow through on giving effort. It is important to value your level of contribution. It is never enough to be complacent and not improve yourself. Improve the way you interact with your partner. Improve the dinner dates you go to. Improve your outing plans and preparations. Improve your collective goals as a relationship. Talk about issues. Talk and always remember the beauty in your lifelong partner. What is it that keeps you guys stronger? What is it that you have to celebrate among yourselves? And always celebrate it. Never take for granted the value of effort. It is only when you stop trying and start taking things for granted and start taking yourselves as just role bearers. He takes the laundry out, or washing for washing, he takes the children for school, or he takes the rubbish can out in the morning, etc., that you realize there is a problem. You have to go beyond the motions. Start connecting beyond the activities. That is where the extra effort comes in. It comes into learning how to plan for a date. Learning. And learning is just a click away in this age. And so you have to value it. Illustration. Let us say we have people who are in separate teams and they are in a tag of war and they are pulling a rope. There is always in a first pull both teams are equally strong because each person just started and they have a mental stamina. But always as time goes, as the teams are probably shouting their strongest convictions, etc., you might find that one team starts being pulled back. regardless of their strength simply because of the words that are being uttered by the other teammates, the opposite team. In such cases you find that information or words spoken to a person or words that a person hears always affect their performance. Is it to say that they are not strong enough or they are not competent? No. You find that the other team starts pulling much stronger. And as you can picture them, they are the team that is shouting definitely. They are the team that is saying we're winning this and yeah, we're doing it. And probably a quiet team on the other side would probably not win. It is because once you stop trying to remind yourself of a reason to keep yourself motivated and to keep yourself knowing and doing the opposite is actually happening. Something else is shouting and eventually you are quiet and it seems now you are down watered by what they have been saying and what they have been seeing of themselves. Their life starts being your entertainment, i.e. you start watching and not contributing. And that's stagnancy, which is never an option. It is always important for you to always be on an effort road. You will have to put in extra effort. In your speech, in you keeping momentum, keeping motivated, doing extra. Always being the one who is happy and is pulling the other up. That will take you a long way. I remember a point in my life when this was more or less very relevant. It took a certain party whom I did not even suspect at first to be picking me up always. I thought I was doing this. You know. But as Fano, my colleague, would say, right, I was thinking I got this, but it wasn't so. And at a point, when it seemed I did not have enough effort in myself, or enough drive, the other party would always come, they would always be like, hey, you can do it. And it sounded so simple the way they said it, but it gave me so much confidence to go on. It is important that you as a party are always learning and always growing better. Remember the tag of war team that is always pulling and at the same time shouting out victories, shouting out the reason why they are stronger, or the ones that are celebrating even before their victory. You will also have to do the same. There always has to be continuous activity of you learning. Number 1, effort is in you learning, and number 2 could be external. Now being the most important extra effort to put in, it includes learning. Because you always get to stay as someone who your other party can always look up to when they least expect it. And so always learn. Always be better. This is because when your party needs you the most they probably do not know it. And once you help them out, they will greatly appreciate it. Therefore you don't necessarily have to be shouting I will help, but always be learning more for you to help when there is need. So always try better. Always try to know more for you to perform better. Conclusion. Ensure that you challenge yourself to be a great contributor to your relationship. Learn. You have learned to date, and you have to learn. For those of you who have kids, it is not an option. Learning parenthood is an important thing, then learning partnership is an important thing, and it is only those who are learners that actually produce a good result. Effort is important, and it is only to standard if it is informed. You therefore have to put effort. Take it seriously. Admonition. Always exert effort to win. Chapter 4, Competence. It is always important for parties to understand that they have a personal race, and it is important for each party to perform at their personal best in somewhat what they should perform in, i.e. their personal goals. In achieving personal goals you stay as interesting as the other party would have found you. Depending on someone is never meant to be abused. It is only when one is performing to standard that the relationship keeps healthy. 1. Performing to standard in terms of the relationship. 2. Performing to standard in terms of personal achievements, which in turn stand to be a contribution to the relationship. In relationship. Let us take for instance a person has 4 kids with a wife or with a husband, but every Friday evening they leave the kids with the other party. In other words, they have literally passed that duty to the other party. Even though everyone wants to maintain a certain level of independence and doing what they should, it is always important to understand that in the relationship there are duties, and when parties assist each other in duties, of course in an orderly manner, to some extent taking care of the children might just be 40% or 35% of what the husband has to do, but they have to fulfill that 35%. As long as it is their duty. Carrying duties together or burdens in whatever capacity in terms of chores or activities that have to be carried out for the family always keeps the relationship at best as it should be. Each party has to ensure that they are always competent. Do what you must. Always push yourself to be a person who shows up. It is in such that one has to be always putting effort also, as somewhat illustrated above. Some relationships will fail, not because a party is demanding too much, but just because certain things would justifiably be expected from the other party and competence would clear the conflict, i.e. getting the other party to appreciate the competent effort. That is what marriage is all about. Each ought to be competent in their office as husband or as his wife. It means we're all in a duty as a person in a marriage relationship the other who is not married can prepare. Providing a biggest paycheck is never a justification to being incompetent or contribute the best to your party's private growth or personal development. You have got to be competent and go back to proper collegial conduct. Competence and personal achievements. Personal achievement is always important because it is only if one party performs or is achieving their best that their overall contribution to a relationship is a good one. If the party concerned takes things for granted, then the overall relationship contribution would be insufficient. You ought to be personally achieving your goals at work, and such competence is of course in balance with what you are contributing at home. Other relationship goals could include personal exercise, for instance when you improve your health or start improving your personal diet in check. It will definitely therefore affect the diet and health of your partner. Birds of the same feather flock together. Birds of the same feather flock together is somewhat in the same line with how that bad manners may always be a darkening influence to good characteristics. In other words, competent partners when they meet competent partners, a competent relationship turns out. In the case where your partner seems incompetent in personal work, it is important as a partner to assist your partner. If you are not married, start looking out for a partner who holds at least a certain sense of same values with you, such that you will not have to wonder where to start with assisting them to achieve their personal values or their personal competence. One has to understand that this is not an option, but it is what marriage entails. Characteristics that a person should look out before marriage. Which is obviously not closed chapter of characteristics, but it can assist you with knowing whether or not it might just be a good move to have that partner as your long life partner. For instance, someone values certainty more than anything else. If your partner values a certain set of things most importantly in their lives, then you will fight with them. If yours are a complete opposite and you value totally different things the most, there ought to be somewhat a mutual benefit to what you guys stand for mostly. For instance, another person may keep things the way they are certain of them, when a partner prefers rather to have many changes, always it could create a problem to compromise either one of them, considering that you can only compromise to the extent that you are willing. Certainty, safety. Uncertainty, variety. Significance. Love. Growth. Contribution. 6 things that people are said to value the most. Don't mislead the other party on interests on either of these, as this often leads to a clash. You may not start pretending that you also love the uncertainty or hiking for instance, but rather you will truly show that you are supporting what they value and you also take pictures there at the hiking, even though you cannot wait for you to go back. You'll be having a personal maintained course that you know that you value certain things. Another would say they value significance the most, which is proper. Another will have as their core value love. To them everything else doesn't matter as long as there is love. Other look at growth. As in how much are we growing, are we becoming better, and are we contributing? Relationships are a contribution each party has to give into the collective. It is therefore evident when one of the parties is not giving in much effort personally and collectively. This is what may easily lead to frustration, but it is not necessary that it gets to this. The person must take responsibility as a partner and as a prospective party to ensure that they know what to contribute and that they do so. Admonition. If you keep growing you will stay afloat. Take for instance a provision and supply that comes, it does not lose value if the supply keeps meeting obligation. Competence is the most important thing. Chapter 5, Shrewdness. Enjoy yourself. Understand that you are living yourselves each for a greater cause. Predictability gets boring and no one wants that. Work on changing your way of living by contributing always in your joy. Purpose of marriage. The purpose of marriage is to build on something that is a common desire of two people. Therefore effectively someone who is not aware of himself and what individually they are working on as their ultimate far-reaching goal does not stand and would not be ready to get married. If two people are not in agreement as to a common purpose therefore they are also not ready to get married. It therefore helps that you know that being happy is always important and if you deal with matters that you must and there is working on it, you will enjoy fulfilling your purpose. 4 Horsemen. What to look out for and avoid. Dr. John Gottman of the Gottman Institute came up with 4 horsemen. Let us look at them. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling. Criticism. The first horseman is criticism. Criticizing your partner is different than offering a critique or voicing a complaint. It is an attack on your partner referring to their character. In effect, you are dismantling their whole being when you criticize. The important thing is to learn the difference between expressing a complaint and criticizing. Complaint: I was scared when you were running late and didn't call me. I thought we had agreed that we would do that for each other. Criticism: you never think about how your behavior is affecting other people. I don't believe you are that forgetful, you're just selfish. You never think of others. You never think of me. The best is to look out for this before it gets too much. Contempt. The second horseman is contempt. When we communicate in this state, we are truly mean, we treat others with disrespect, mock them with sarcasm, ridicule, call them names, and mimic or use body language such as eye rolling. Contempt goes far beyond criticism because it assumes a position of moral superiority over the partner. Contempt. You're tired. Cry me a river. I've been with the kids all day, running around like mad to keep this house going, and all you do when you come home from work is flop down on that sofa like a child and play those idiotic video games. I don't have time to deal with another kid. Could you be any more pathetic? Contempt is the single greatest predictor of divorce and must be eliminated. It is not good for any relationship. Defensiveness. The third horseman is a common one, defensiveness, which is defined as self-protection in the form of righteous indignation or innocent victimhood in an attempt to ward off a perceived attack. Many people become defensive when they are being criticized, but the problem is that its perceived effect is blame. It is usually a counterattack to a complaint, which is not criticism. Complaint: did you call your parents to let them know that we're not coming tonight as you promised this morning? Defensiveness: I was just too busy today. You know how busy my schedule is. Why didn't you just do it? The defensive partner in this example isn't taking responsibility for breaking their promise. Instead, they blame their partner. One should take note of this to stop it because it also paves way for other horsemen. Stonewalling. The fourth horseman is stonewalling, which is usually a response to contempt. Stonewalling occurs when the listener withdraws from the interaction, shuts down, and simply stops responding to their partner. Rather than confronting the issues with their partner, people who stonewall can make evasive maneuvers such as tuning out, turning away, acting busy, or engaging in obsessive or distracting behaviors. If you feel like you're stonewalling during a conflict, stop a discussion and ask your partner to take a break. Alright, I'm feeling too angry to keep talking about this. Can we please take a break and come back to it in a bit? It'll be easier to work through this after I've calmed down. Then take 20 minutes to do something alone that soothes you. Read a book or magazine, take a walk, go for a run, really, just do anything that helps to stop feeling flooded and then return to the conversation once you feel ready. Solutions to horsemen. Solution to criticism. A complaint focuses on a specific behavior, but criticism attacks a person's very character. The antidote for criticism is to complain without blame by using a soft or gentle startup. Avoid saying you, which can indicate blame, and instead talk about your feelings using I statements and express what you need in a positive way. What do I feel? What do I need? Criticism. You always talk about yourself. Why are you always so selfish? Antidote. I'm feeling left out of our talk tonight and I need to vent. Can we please talk about my day? Do. Solution to contempt. Contempt shows up in statements that come from a position of moral superiority. The solution is to build a culture of appreciation and respect in your relationship. You may regularly express appreciation, gratitude, affection, and respect for your partner. Contempt. You forgot to load the dishwasher again. Ugh. You are so incredibly lazy. Rolls eyes. Antidote. I understand that you've been busy lately, but could you please remember to load the dishwasher when I work late? I'd appreciate it. 3. Solution to defensiveness. Many people become defensive when they are being criticized, but the problem is that being defensive never helps to solve the problem at hand. Defensiveness is really a way of blaming your partner. As a result, the problem is not resolved and the conflict escalates further. The solution is to accept responsibility, even if only for part of the conflict. Defensiveness. It's not my fault that we're going to be late. It's your fault since you always get dressed at the last second. Solution. I don't like being late, but you're right. We don't always have to leave so early. I can be a little more flexible. From here the couple can work towards a compromise. Having less criticism or contempt and more understanding your partner's needs, expressing your needs in a healthy way, and taking responsibility for things that went wrong will be a great help in this case. Take the solution seriously. Considering a concept termed blind spot. We can't see ourselves. Defensiveness is easy because we spend a lot of time with ourselves, so in one sense, we know more about ourselves than anyone else could ever know. But there are things about ourselves that we literally can't see, such as our facial expressions and our body language, hence the blind spot. Even our tone of voice is hard to judge. So the very data that is most obvious and present to others is what is missing for us. We communicate a tremendous amount through expressions and tone, especially regarding our emotional state. The merest squint can communicate, I doubt that, even as we're saying, that sounds right. E.g. eye rolling, which denotes disgust. The second kind of blind spot is our impact on others, which again, we cannot see, because these impacts occur inside the minds and hearts of the other person. We have indirect evidence of it, but it's easy to misinterpret. Surely, she knew I was joking, we think. Or, I can't imagine what I said upset him. It wouldn't have upset me. Sometimes we're right, but often we're wrong. Hence, if we understand this, it becomes easier to exercise taking responsibility, understanding that the other party has certain points they are seeing. 4. Solution to stonewalling. Stonewalling usually happens when you're feeling flooded or emotionally overwhelmed, so your reaction is to shut down, stop talking, and disengage. The antidote to stonewalling is to practice physiological self-soothing, and the first step of self-soothing is to stop the conflict discussion and call a timeout. Look, we've been through this over and over again. I'm tired of reminding you. Honey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need to take a break. Can you give me 20 minutes and then we can talk? If you don't take a break, you'll find yourself either stonewalling and bottling up your emotions, or you'll end up exploding at your partner, or both, and neither will get you anywhere good. When you take a break, it should last at least 20 minutes because it will take that long before your body physiologically calms down. It's crucial that during this time you avoid thoughts of righteous indignation, I don't have to take this anymore, and innocent victimhood, why is he always picking on me? Spend your time doing something soothing and distracting. Kind word. All relationships, even the most successful ones, have conflict. It is unavoidable. Fortunately, our research shows that it's not the appearance of conflict, but rather how it's managed, that predicts the success or failure of a relationship. We say manage conflict rather than resolve because relationship conflict is natural and has functional positive aspects that provide opportunities for growth and understanding. And there are problems that you just won't solve due to natural personality differences between you and your partner, but if you can learn to manage those problems in a healthy way, then your relationship will succeed. Part 2, 4 Days Challenge. Preferably 2 wed thrice every week. Use this content to decide for 2 months. Write down tasks. Be determined to meet every goal. Written to an industrious nation and a nation that needs help with relationships.